What's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Just letting you know with this little bit at the start that we now have a Patreon. Sub up to that, and you can get all these episodes early and ad-free, so you won't even see this bit at the start. You get them a few days before the main episodes drop out. We've got some great guests coming up. We've got some studio episodes. We've got some Zoom episodes with some fantastic rappers talking about the films they love and the films that influenced them. We got a lot going on there. Plus, you get some bonus content like film reviews, all that kind of thing. I don't need to explain this to you. You know what a Patreon is. But yeah, it's patreon.com/Kinell Sinister Cinema. So check that out. Peace. Yes, people. What's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Kinell Sinister Cinema is brought to you by Forgotten Sons Apparel. Check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Forgotten Sons Apparel is a York-based streetwear brand drawing inspiration from alternative culture, tattoos, film, classic TV and cartoons from our childhood. In our own words, if you like our stuff half as much as we do, then we like it twice as much as you. I'm a big fan of this brand and I love the guys who make it. They've supported me for years, way before I was podcasting. They supported me in my battle rap career. You might have seen me rocking some of their garms on Don't Flop and other leagues. I love Forgotten Sons Apparel and I'm urging you all to check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Right, now on with the show. Yes, the KSC Podcast. Once again, I am, of course, Kinell. As I say every single day, like if you're on the audio channels, give us a review because we never get a review. And all those YouTube things too, you know, likes, comments, subscribe, notification bell. You know what it is. You hear it on every single YouTube video that you click on. But we're back once again with another podcast episode. Oh, yeah, and be sure to check out the gaming playlist that we got going on because I'm doing a bit of that over at twitch.tv/Kinell, so we got that going on. And I have finally changed my Twitter name to @KinellSC. So as opposed to an old name I used to DJ under in the early aughts. Kinell all day now. We're back at it. A few announcements. Flipping Don't Flop schedule for the year has popped up. Hope you've seen that. We got a new one. We got a new adventure rhyme happening in the next few months, and we got a mad location for that one. I've confirmed a battle that hasn't been announced yet, but I will be back in London on the 29th of April. So come along to that. That's going to be a crazy one. Someone's getting absolutely destroyed. And since April Fools isn't in April this year, it's Mapril Fools. I'm going to be at that. I'm going to be doing something that I've always wanted to do since I have started battling. And now I might actually be good enough to pull it off. So, be sure to check all them out. But, on with the show, Patreon, all that like. I'm bringing back one of my favorite guests. It is Sto. How are you, lad?
Good evening, people. What's going on? How you doing, man?
Good to see you, as always. Good. This is the KSC Cyberpunk era. You know, we've even changed the aesthetics to go with it. And all.
Yeah, man. You got the coloured lighting and everything going on, the new graphics and shit. It's cool, man. Very nice, very nice.
Oh yeah. It's like all gone off since we did that Cyberpunk episode. But before we get into the main subject of the episode, I might as well mention the Cyberpunk ranking. Since after we did the episode, I got super inspired. I got well into the Cyberpunk game and started realizing how many of the films I loved. I'm currently doing a ranking on my Letterboxd. I'm Kinell on Letterboxd, obviously, and doing a ranking. I'm trying to watch every Cyberpunk and Cyberpunk adjacent film by the end of the year. And I've got a ranking going on, and I'm currently up to, I think we're in the 50s. Let's have a look. Let's check the list. 50 films so far on there so far.
Jeez, nice, man. Good work.
Yeah, man. Serious business. But yeah, how have you been? We'll catch up with you first.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm chilling. Just been I've been enjoying rewatching the films we're gonna talk about tonight over the last week and stuff. Yeah, it's been cool.
Oh,
Other than that, man,
fantastic! In that.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
let's get
just
straight
working on
into
some
what we're
writing and
talking
stuff.
about. We are talking about the films of Benson and Moorhead.
Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So,
Grab
what's
your
got? How did you?
everybody. Let's go.
Yeah, like, we're both big fans of them, and like, in my opinion, they're definitely like 5 for 5 at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Like they're all. I thought that rewatching them, man. They're all so good. There's no real weak points in any of it. It's impressive.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the only examples of it. Like everyone's like all about the shared universe these days, but like the B&M shared universe is probably the only one which is consistently solid in every release.
That's true, man. Yeah. There's I'm sure we'll go into it, but there's all kinds of little links between the films and crossing over and stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into the films themselves, like how did you first come across Benson and Moorhead? What was the first one you watched and all that business?
Yeah, it was actually right. So in like around the start of 2020 or something, I got into this kind of weird area of philosophy, occultism, theory kind of stuff. Which is some of it is to do with like time loops and sort of outside Lovecraftian horror and like the kind of esoteric stuff that's in the Benson Moorhead films. So someone on Twitter recommended The Endless to me, and they were like, "Oh, you'll probably be into this. It's about kind of time loops and those kind of like esoteric kind of themes and stuff, and has the like." I don't know. It's not cosmic horror in exactly the Lovecraft kind of way, but it's that kind of idea, like an outside horror presence thing that you can't see or kind of perceive properly or whatever.
There's
So,
something. It
so
could be gods. It could be the universe. It's there's something that could be in control, or everything's not in control together.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. That's what I like about the shared universe kind of thing that they have is it's never quite fully explained to the point where like I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's kind of they leave some space for you to think about it and interpret it a little bit and stuff like that. So it's very cool. But yeah, someone recommended The Endless, and so I watched that and I was like, oh, holy shit! Like, yeah, really enjoyed it, and then just checked out the other ones after that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got on. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to ask where you heard about them, man. But carry on.
I think I rented Spring on Love Film back in the days of like when you had a subscription to get DVDs via post.
Yeah.
I remember it being because it was in the horror section, but it had like this cover on it, like it would have been a thumbnail there, and I thought it was pretty mad that like a film called Spring with a cover like that would be in the horror section. So I got it from there, and it flipping like proper like flipping stuck with me, and I didn't really sort of follow what they did afterwards because I wasn't following filmmakers like that.
Yeah. Me neither, man. I haven't sort of been into like a string of filmmakers since I don't know, like the 2000s. I got super into like all the Richard Linklater movies, and then like all the Larry Clark movies, all the Harmony Korine movies and stuff, Greg Araki movies, all those. And then I don't know, like Japanese stuff and whatever. But it's been a minute since I've been like really into following one particular director or like series of films like this. It's very cool.
Like that's it. Like I kind of like sort of rediscovered like I think it was when Evolution of Horror sort of mentioned The Endless, and they mentioned like the Arrow release of The Endless. That's like if you get the like 2-disc one that came out early, it's got resolution on it and all, and I hadn't seen that.
Nice.
And like that was around the time that like Synchronicity like was just about to come out and everything. So I kind of like sort of rebought Spring about them and got them and like watched them all in like quite a short space.
Yeah. They're kind of like I was just thinking the cover for Spring that you've got there is totally. I've got the DVD and it's like marketed way more as like a horror film thing. It's got like the girl on the front carrying a skull. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's got like the kind
No,
of
I haven't. I haven't seen that cover. Oh, hang on. Hang on. It's a reversible cover. There's like this.
Oh right, all right. No, I can grab it if you want, man. This is behind me. But yeah, no, it looks a lot more like a horror film. And then the quotes are sort of like saying, "Oh, it's like a." One of them said, "Actually, it's like have you seen the Before Sunset, After Sunset, that series of films, the Richard Linklater ones?"
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. They're like they're kind of like Spring in that it's like two people meet up like on holiday somewhere kind of thing, and they've only got a certain amount of time together, and it's this very intense like love affair kind of thing. And one of the quotes is like, "It's that meets Clive Barker," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's interesting." But yeah,
that's a hell of a pitch.
Yeah, for sure, man. Interesting pitch. Well, that's what I was going to say, man. They're kind of hard films to explain to people or pitch because like none of them are one genre straightforward. They're like a bunch of kind of different genres like meshed together into one thing, kind of.
Like all this stuff is ultimately like it's generally like about like most of this stuff in like one way or another is about a relationship between two people.
Yeah. That's one of the notes I made actually, man. That's one of the things I really like about it is that they're all these really like close, intimate relationships between two people.
Yeah, and like and that's it. Like because it's more about that. There's all this like cosmic shit going on, but it's about like how it affects the people and like how they deal with it in different ways because of the friendship dynamic kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that's what grounds them really well. Is they function as like like Synchronic is like a friendship drama, family drama, I guess. Like Spring is like a romance story, but then they all also have like these other elements of like esoteric weird shit and like stuff going on at the same time, which is like a really interesting like mixture, really.
Yeah.
Like Synchronic, the family drama bits are kind of serious and sort of like they're all very believable and kind of well observed, and then they just start dropping in the time element thing and stuff into that existing like thing. It's like, oh, that's like, I don't know, it's a cool mixture of things. It's the same with Spring and the romance, and then you've got the whole other element, which is like a totally different genre, but they do both of them at the same time so well that it's just like, I don't know, kind of fuses really well. Like,
yeah, this is it, and I suppose like that's something like that we talk about like Lovecraft and the cosmic horror and the unknown and that like, and like people have always like struggled adapting Lovecraft because like in the book it says it's this unknown horror, and in the film you've got to show something. But the way that you can like do that is like the way you can do that, and like it's a genius approach that they figured out early on, is like rather than showing the thing, you give us some characters that we can understand and be invested in, and you show their reaction to the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you just see the thing kind of doing stuff, don't you? Like in Resolution and the Endless, you just see the effect it's having. Especially in Resolution, you just see it like it's like switching on the projector, or it's like leaving a tape somewhere, or it's doing something. But you never see it happening. It's just like you never see any presence or like a spirit or like whatever moving things around or anything. It's just kind of, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something about like what should we call it? Like this whatever it is, this higher being, or the flipping thing that's got us all in an alien ant farm. Flipping it communicates with like slightly defunct technology, like.
Yeah. It uses like projectors, VHS tapes, cassettes, and stuff like that. That's one of the things that's cool about like the Endless is like when they go to the cult leader guy's room, and he's just got all that old technology and stuff, like all the old radios and stuff like that, and like it kind of looks cool setting wise and like, you know, in the background and whatever. But then it's also linked to the overall thing because that's kind of how it communicates. So there's like a reason it's all kind of there as well, which is cool.
Yeah. That's it. That really appeals to me. But it's like the whole thing of having all these films be a human drama at heart. It's like one thing I really like about it is all their films have some like really, really good humorous bits in it. But
Yeah,
it's
man,
not
for sure.
comedy stuff. It's like funny things do happen in real life.
Yeah, just like there's just random like funny stuff happens. Like in the Endless, where there's a bit where he just like shaves his head and then just walks off. And then they do like a graphic match to him being interviewed and he's still got like the middle bit of his hair missing and stuff.
Yeah.
There's like just random little things like that happen that are funny. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's some really good jokes in like Something in the Dirt as well. Some like good visual jokes and stuff.
Yeah. I suppose we're going to talk about all of them. We got 5. So we might as well sort of go hit it with a chronological one.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so we kick off with the first movie, which was like Resolution, and this one it's about what should we call it? A guy who's like going to deal with his mate who's addicted to drugs, and he's having the libertarian time of his life. What should we call it?
He's out there just like smoking crack. He's firing guns. He's just going for it, man. He's just going full wild man out there in the on the reservation, like.
Yeah. Just what should we call it? A cabin that he doesn't own. He's got a load of guns. He just he just smokes bare work and shoots at cans all day. And his mate comes to try and bring him back to society.
Yeah, well, his mate receives a video of him getting up to his crazy cracking gun antics, and then so it kind of goes to find him. But then it turns out that it wasn't. I can't remember. It's Chris and Mike. I can't remember which round it is. But yeah, turns out he didn't send him the video. The video was sent by something else, maybe.
Yeah, and then we also get some interlopers and everything. And this is our first glimpse into this thing in the Benson and Moorhead universe that someone's like, if not controlling, at least watching. And
there's something. There's something behind things. You get that impression. There's quite a lot of like I don't know, far out shots as if something's watching the place and stuff.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. It's just
like there is a lot of wide shots. It is like it feels like huge parts of the film are like shot from a POV, but we never see who it's the POV of.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like out above everything somewhere else around, looking down and whatever kind of thing. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a great pair of characters. Like,
I was just gonna say that they're both really interesting characters to watch and stuff because it's just the two of them for like most of the film. There's like the meth guys and then the native Indian guys come in and out kind of thing, but yeah, most of the film is just like those two, and you're just like with them and what their fucking crazy situation they're doing there.
Yeah, it's I like the fact that they're very good at painting characters that are heavily flawed but likable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All the characters are kind of a bit damaged in some way. Like the two in Resolution are like, yeah, I don't know. They're pretty believable, even though the crazy guy's kind of like, I don't know, like he's kind of cartoonish and funny for a lot of it, and then there's some parts of it where it gets like super deep, like when he starts getting sick and he's like, he gets into like more serious stuff about like the conversation is about addiction more and that kind of thing, and it's like really well observed how that kind of works and changes over the film and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I can't remember which of them it was, but I was reading that one of them's was kind of inspired by like their mother was having issues with addiction, and like they were having these conversations of like, you know, how are we going to do it? And at one point, someone says you don't do it, obviously, but their idea was like, let's take it in the middle of nowhere and handcuff it to a fucking radiator.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
that is what they did, but they think, okay, there's a good starting point for the film.
Yeah, man. You can tell they probably draw in real life stuff because a lot of it's like it's really well observed, the conversations and stuff, like the addiction kind of stuff in that bit, for example, is like, yeah, it reads
Yeah,
as like very realistic and kind of, yeah, I don't know, the psychology and stuff.
that's it. That's it. I think like it's very important that they've created like a likable character there, because addiction's like often not something that's represented well in movies, like because
Yeah, that was one of the notes I had actually. Is like they show you both sides of it in this film, and like you said,
yeah,
it's not.
like because often like like so like someone who's an addict in a film will just be like this tragic character or something,
Yeah,
like
like dangerous or whatever. Yeah, you don't often get a sympathetic portrayal of drug addicts in films and stuff.
yeah, but like the reality is like some people like start off what should we call it on drugs because they just like to party, and for whatever reason it just goes a bit further than that. So like a lot of drug addicts are charismatic. They
Yeah,
are
for sure,
funny
man.
people with a sense of humor about it.
Yeah, definitely, man, for sure. Yeah.
He's got some bars in it and all. Like there's
Oh
a
man,
couple of times like, wow, if I knew this was here, I'd have sold it and spent the money on drugs.
yeah, there's a bit where he goes, they're having a conversation about like being creative and stuff, and he goes like, he's talking about how it's like a curse to be like a creative person because you can't hold down like a normal job. It doesn't hold your attention, and you can't kind of function normally. And I was like, yes, fucking bars, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
If like that's what people mean when they see like, oh, I felt seen by a character in a film, but I was like, yeah, that's real.
Yeah, I flipping got it. Like I like it. I've had my problems. I've never been like full addiction and like living in a shack shooting at cans. Never had a gun, like, but
Yeah,
it's like I know that like a lot of it's fucking like ADHD, like, which I thought it was just me being a weird bastard until like very recently, and it turns out mental health problem undiagnosed, and then but.
well, it's good that it is now diagnosed, and you can,
Yeah.
you know,
And you know what it is, but
some
like,
stuff.
certainly like the ways in which like, I had a like creative brain but no focus, that definitely contributed to me heading down sort of darker paths. Like, so when he spoke about that, like flipping it, I could really connect with that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And like, in this, we also, so I don't know if they were ever like planning on like doing like multiple films, but we get our first things other than like the sort of the B&M mythos is we get the first mention of Shitty Carl, and
Yeah, right. Yeah.
who flipping like I think he turns up in all the films until we see him in the Endless or so. He gets mentioned in all the films.
Yeah.
The first mention of Shitty Carl, like
And the red flowers. First appearance
yeah,
of red flowers. That's a cool scene as well, where he goes and talks to the French guy in the caravan,
yeah.
and he just sits there and has that like weird conversation about him, and he's like smoking red flowers and like pointing the mirror at the mirror and talking about like dimensions and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool scene. I was kind of gutted he didn't reappear in the Endless Man. The French guy is like one of the time loops or something. It was,
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe he would appear again somewhere, like, because
yeah, man. Yeah, he's too interesting a character, and
yeah,
obviously he's linked to the esoteric kind of stuff because he's talking about how there was like the students were staying with him to come and study the area for like folklore and cult kind of shenanigans and stuff.
yeah, and we see the cult for the first time, and we see what's it called, Benson and Moorhead's characters that are named after themselves as cult members
when they're younger. Yeah, they were wearing their like white shirts and they're by the river and stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And then they show that in the Endless as well. Like they show like there's a part where they show a videotape to
yeah
cult, and it's like that scene from yeah, from the other film, which is cool. Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic bit of work, like, and it's another thing, they really understand like slice of life, the way that characters just drift in and out, just like they do in real life, rather than flipping everyone being a walking Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. There's always like things overlapping and coming in and out of like of the story and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, they have really good pace in it. Everything kind of keeps moving along, and there's always something to kind of think about, and then something else happens, and it's just kind of, I don't know. They have a really good rhythm and like flow to them.
It's a great connective tissue. And after that, we get Spring.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
basic setup for this dude. What should we call it? It's another dude. He's just not where he wants to be in life at the minute, and he's like acting out and lashing out.
Yeah, he's like pissed off with his job. He doesn't want to be stuck like where he is.
Yeah, that kind of like existential boredom, like I'm sure we both experienced, where you do find yourself getting into trouble.
Yeah, definitely. You get into mischief and trouble because there's like, I don't know, there's nothing else to do at a certain point if you're like living in small towns like that and stuff. It's just like the same people and the same bullshit, and it just kind of.
That's it. Yeah. When you can't see a way out except a time loop of where you are now, just getting older, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly, man. Makes you hopeless, like, and then you just, I don't know, men that are hopeless and have nothing to lose can be dangerous.
Yeah, because you know, flipping like you find yourself like doing like stupid shit, like just to make life a bit interesting.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, start some drama, keep yourself entertained, stir up some stuff. Yeah, makes sense.
So, following a bar fight that he got into, he has a word with a couple of mates, including Jeremy Gardner, who's like the actor. Jeremy Gardner is like such a mark of quality because anything he's in, I love. Like,
fair enough, man. Yeah.
Like, he's done a couple of he's a guy who he did a film called After Midnight and another one called The Battery, which is one of my favorite zombie films.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen either of those actually. I have to put those on.
Yeah, I think you'd dig them both, like. Nice. But he's just a sign of quality. Like, it seems like it's only ever good people that give him work, and he's always ace in the films. But even if he's only in one scene, I know that the fact that because it's being made by people who want Jeremy Gardner in their film, the film's going to be good.
They got good taste in casting, like yeah. The bar fight scene's pretty it's pretty brutal, man. When he like punches him in the grill, like literally in the grill, he's got like like the wound on his hand and stuff, man. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, you can feel that shit. You can actually feel it.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool detail as well, man. Like a lot of their scenes have just like these kind of like extra little details in, like the fact the guy's wearing a grill and it like extra fucks up his hand or whatever. There's no reason for that to be there other than kind of it's like cool detail and just like adds to the realism of the situation or whatever. Like,
yeah. And so your man fucks off to Europe to get away from things for a bit at the advice of his mates. Meets a gorgeous girl who might be a monster from another dimension killing people, might be a vampire or something. We don't know. Never really explained.
Well, it's kind of explained like right at the end, but yeah, for most of it, you don't really know exactly what the deal is. Like,
but it's never explained what she is like. We just know it's something otherworldly, and sometimes people could die around that shit.
Yeah, and she's like ancient and kind of somehow tied into kind of ancient Italian mythology and history and that kind of business. Yeah, so they really hit it off, and they have this like connection and stuff, and they're like, she's like messing with him and like testing him in all these kind of different ways and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's really cool. It's like, it's very again, it's very well observed, like the conversations between them and the way they both act and stuff. It's all very believable, man. Like, you get really absorbed in it sort of very quickly. Like,
yeah, I reckon there must be a lot of it that's like come from their real lives. The two British lads when he first gets to Italy and he's backpacking.
Yeah,
I thought like they are based on actual British lads, innit?
Yeah, dude. That was one of the notes I had. It's like I've met those exact two guys.
Yeah,
Well,
this is it. Like they have a conversation
different places,
about.
like,
they have a conversation. The guy goes, "Oh yeah, you know, like rap battles, like flipping." I just jumped up and I just twatted him. Dad, fucking, how many times have we had this conversation? I don't know how you could fucking do them rap battles. Like, if anyone was saying that to me, I'd just have to twat them. Like, how many times have we met that guy? Like,
in the taxi. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I got up on the stage, and he was like, yeah, spit some bars, bruv, or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like,
yeah, that like fucking that. You're right. I also know those guys. We met those guys. Like, flipping.
yeah, no doubt, man, for sure.
Right.
But yeah, that guy was really good. I thought the guy who was like the more louder, like London guy, whatever. I thought he was cool. And like you were saying before, with Resolution, where you've got like people coming in and out, we stay with like those guys for a bit, and it's very high paced, and they're like driving around, they're smoking joints, and like it's real hectic. And then one morning they're just like, right, we're off to Amsterdam, and then he stays there, and then that's it. They're kind of gone, and he's on his own again, and it sort of flips the mood of the thing. It's like,
we got these amazing characters we might never see again, or like maybe we'll get a flipping series about them. We don't know.
Yeah, they just kind of peace out and go to Amsterdam. So yeah, there could be, you know, another film about them in Amsterdam and what happens with them. But yeah, they're in it for a short space of time. They're really engaging, interesting characters to watch. Like.
Yeah, another interesting thing about Spring is it was inspired, like very, very, very loosely, because not only do we not know the details of the place, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't extra dimensional centuries-old monster in it. Like, but inspired by the Amanda Knox case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I thought that was quite interesting. Like, I'll let people murder it. Like, fucking go and check a true crime podcast, because fucking I don't know the details of such things. A lot of the details have never been confirmed.
I've heard bits and pieces over the years, but I don't know the exact ins and outs.
Yeah. And neither do most true crime podcasts.
No, probably not. They're all just speculating and hanging out around crime scenes like weirdos, taking pictures and stuff.
Fucking, it's really become apparent lately. Like, sorry, I'm going on a diverge, but true crime fucking sucks, doesn't it? Like, the people who are into it.
I've never been super into it, man. And yeah, I don't know. From what I've seen of the online communities around it and stuff. It's not. I don't know.
Yeah, this is it. Like, I'm not talking about people who just like listening to it. I'm talking about the people that have been harass the police with theories.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
actual ongoing cases. For one thing, don't talk to the police when you don't have to. And for another thing, like,
what would you want to do anyway? Yeah,
the true crime genre is based on like it's like all about the maddest cases where the thing that normally never happens. If that's your basis, you shouldn't be trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah. In like real life cases, it's not gonna.
Yeah, but the Amanda Knox case is one thing where it was never clear what happened anyway. There was no real conclusions of it to sort of like pull it back. So I thought that was quite interesting. Like, you know, like they base something on a case that is a mystery.
Yeah. That's a cool detail. Yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of interesting stuff in Spring. There's like the evolutionary animals. Well, they have animals in all their films. I think pretty much there's like see different animals at points and stuff. But yeah, there's like in her apartment, she's got all those diagrams of like crocodiles evolving or something, and all those like old like I don't know biology drawings of whatever of like animal parts and stuff. And that's kind of part of the thing, isn't it? She says at one point she like reverts to some type of DNA earlier in our evolution, and that's part of like the kind of the process that happens there and stuff. So yeah, I thought that's an interesting like real life layer that they kind of put into it.
Yeah, they must do so much research just to chuck in like a few lines here and there, like.
Yeah. There's loads of cool stuff like that in all of them. Like in, I don't know, we'll talk about in a bit, but in Synchronic, where the girl's got the snake bite, and then they say to ask her whether she's a member of the Pentecostal church, which is that church that does the thing with the box of snakes, and you put your hand in the snakes, and then if you don't get bitten, Jesus is on your team or whatever. But like, yeah, it's just a cool real life detail that they put in there. There's no other reason for that to be there other than it's like just adds like a cool real life little layer into it, which makes it more kind of believable. It's dope shit.
Yeah, like those kind of touches, like again, there's so much that just grounds it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and after Spring, we get the Endless, and
the expansion of the first film, kind of, or
it's just got some of the same people in it, and there's some kind of crossover with the Force, but we get like Justin and Aaron, the cult members.
Yeah. Again, played by Justin and Aaron.
Yeah,
and you got to shout at the boys themselves as actors, man, because like the characters that they do in the different films really are different. Like if you compare, I don't know, the brothers in The Endless with, like, I don't know, the two guys in Something in the Dirt or whatever, they're like completely different and very, but all very believable, like characters. Like the dynamics between them are very, like the two brothers in The Endless, and the way you can tell he's looked after him when he's younger, and the other brother's kind of a little bit weaker and needs looking after a bit more and stuff, and then that kind of leads to him getting sucked back into the cult a little bit when he gets there, and that kind of thing. It's the dynamics between the characters, they're all very believable.
Yeah, I thought they must have done like quite a lot of research into cults and that, because I had my cult phase, not phase of being in a cult, but looking into cults and sort of seeing how they work and the communities and like.
Yeah, me too, man. I think that's really interesting stuff. I've looked into that quite a lot as well. But again, never actually felt like joining one, so that's good. I feel like we both made a good decision there, really.
Yeah, but just as well there weren't no cults operating around Wrexham. Is all I'm saying. If they'd have caught me at the right time, I'd be like flipping. We don't know where, like, but again, this is another thing where like they make something real by like showing the reality to it, and there is two sides to everything. Just like with addiction, like sometimes like people who are addicts are funny, charismatic people, and sometimes they're just carrying on with their situation because they just can't be arsed. They just rather have fun, and that's how they have fun. Similar to that, like people talk about like suicide cults as. We only think about them as being these crazy people, but the fact is that, they are like these communes where like a lot of people are happy.
Yeah. And you see them kind of living a contented life in the cult. It's not a particularly scary, evil cult. They just kind of look like, I don't know, craft hipster type people or whatever. And that's something I wrote down as well, is like, just like they kind of show both sides of addiction. In Resolution, they show both sides of the cult really well in The Endless as well, because you start off with like one impression of it, and then you see them there and you get a slightly different impression, and then things happen later where it's like things get unveiled that the older brother may not have been completely honest about what he said about the cult, and it's like you kind of get that other side of it as well. So it's interesting the way they do that again.
Yeah, it's like two completely opposite sides of like looking at a form of like lifestyle dependency.
Yeah. Because it is. I mean, that's what a cult is essentially on that kind of level. But then, like I was saying, you see the people in the cult there, and they're all happy. They've all got their different jobs. Like one guy's making beer or whatever, and they're all doing their thing and kind of like living quite kind of happily. And then you do think, oh yeah, well, I don't know if you can kind of go live a happy life like that, like more power to you, I guess. But then that's, I don't know, it's not quite easy. There's other stuff going on with the cult.
Yeah, like this is it's one of the ones where like I think it's my favorite reveal out of all the films. My favorite reveal of something otherworldly, because like with the other ones, it's when things start happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, like because the ongoing film is like, what if the crazy guy in the woods? What if the crazy people in the woods who talk about all this crazy stuff, be they the French guy, be they a cult, be they, what if they're right?
What if there is something to it? Yeah, yeah. That's always the kind
Yeah.
of thing that's there in the background. It's, yeah.
Yeah. So not only is the cult the right place, like, because like he pulled the younger brother out because he said it was a suicide cult, because that's what he thought ascending meant.
Yeah.
But
And
maybe it
also
didn't.
then, like, cut your dick off and stuff, which was not true, it turns out.
Yeah, and like it's my favorite reveal, the bit when they're doing that weird kind of like tug of war with the darkness.
Oh, yeah. It's a really cool, interesting. They have a lot of things like that, which are they're quite simple, like, but they're just like, I don't know, they're just really interesting. So it's just like the tug of war. It's just a rope, like you just see a rope going into the darkness. But the whole, I don't know, it's just really weird and interesting. It's not something you've seen before, and it's just kind of mysterious and like, yeah.
You literally see nothing, and it's been held back for so long. Like like it must be like nearly an hour in before it happens. And in that time, you've just been living with these people.
Yeah, you just see him kind of going about the business, and the younger brother is kind of gradually getting drawn in. There's that like girl that he kind of likes, and he's like getting a bit settled in and thinking maybe he wants to like kind of stay there and go back. And there's like, I don't know, it kind of builds the tension of like the feeling that they're being sucked like back into it, and there's nothing they can do about it. And the brother's like, because he's kind of naive and because of the thing with him feeling like he betrayed him by lying about the castration, blah 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 stuff. You can see him kind of getting drawn in, and it's kind of, I don't know. The whole film's got this feeling of like trapped, kind of not claustrophobic exactly, but it's like obviously with the time loops, people are trapped in those little kind of zones around the reservation there. Yeah.
And like again, it's kind of a mirror thing in the same way that in Resolution, you're saying to your man, like, why do you want to be out here in this shack stroking drugs? He's like, well, I've been out in the real world and it sucks.
Yeah.
And like the guy's like supposed better life in the real world is working for a cleaning company, and fucking he's got none of his mates, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Now they're working really fucking hard to like put a roof over their head and pay bills and all the other bullshit they didn't have to deal with.
Yeah.
And
there's the guy that has it worst is I think he's like a French soldier or something. He's stuck in a loop which is like 4 or 5 seconds long, and you just see him like getting up off the bed in like a panic, and presumably he's like running off because there's some shit going on with like a war or a battle or something. And he's just stuck in that loop like forever, just 4 or 5 seconds going kind of round and round. And that idea that's really horrible, man. That's a scary idea. Like,
yeah, and like because obviously like the only time we see him he is in absolute terror, but we meet Shitty Carl.
Yeah, in his little shed.
Yeah, is like loop after like his loop where he's committed suicide at some point, and like that's where it gets really interesting because like I think it's one of the first major loops we've seen, but it also shows that he's like been aware that he's been in this loop, and he's aware of other things happening outside of it. He's aware of the loop.
I think it's the first time you see someone acknowledge that they're like trapped in a loop, kind of thing. And that's kind of when you kind of find out what's going on with it exactly, I guess.
Yeah, and he knows that he acknowledges the tweaker guys who are like, he can draw a map to where they're trapped in a loop.
Yeah.
And it turns out that reference to what's it called? You said you'd borrow a gun to Shitty Carl. It turns out the weird tweaker guy out in the middle of nowhere was the guy from Resolution. And
Yeah. Again, very, very cool how they just have little details that kind of link up and cross over and stuff. I think.
And It was incredible how they managed to like remake it so seamlessly, because you watch films back to back, it looks like they shot those scenes on like the same fucking on like the same fucking shoot.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Everything looks pretty much exactly the same. Like it's it's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't really like listened to like director's commentary on like Endless, but I think I need to do that because I want to like hear about that being put together. Because like when they're writing their script for their first movie, like I mean, ultimately that is the easiest movie to get made. Is you put some people in a cabin in the woods and you chop them up, and like that was the same quote that inspired like Tarantino to make Reservoir Dogs, and you interpret things as you will. But the thing is with these like buildings in the middle of nowhere is like sometimes you can just get hold of one. So like maybe
exactly, and it's a cool location. It's it's visually pretty interesting as well. And it's all the shack's all fucked up and stuff. There's like the weird drawings and stuff that he's been doing, and the characters and the ideas are so interesting that it's like I don't know, it's cool, just works like. And it's because I saw The Endless first, and then and then Resolution. But when I rewatched them, you suggest I watch Resolution first and then watch Endless straight afterwards, which I did, which is cool because it's kind of, well, it kind of works either way around, but it's like a cool prequel, which is like then part of the other film. Or I guess you could watch Resolution afterwards, and it's like a kind of expansion pack DLC of that scene from The Endless into like a prequel or whatever.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's cool as fuck, man.
And it gives you a real sense of like, you know, the sort of like fucking psychological ramifications of being trapped in these time loops. Because like they're meeting a guy that they met before very recently before the time loop.
Yeah.
But he looks very different.
Yeah. It's just, it's nuts, man.
Yeah, so after that, we got the biggest film to date. We got Synchronic. You know, we got Anthony Mackie. What should we call it? Papa Doc himself.
Yeah, killed it, man.
Yeah, Diversion. I think the lads must be into a bit of hip hop, you know. Fucking like, I think they know their hip hop.
Yeah, possibly, man. Yeah.
We should have mentioned earlier that they did a segment in one of the VHS movies, VHS Viral.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And like Bone some of that. I think they got like there's some Def Jux tracks on it, like.
I think I remember that when I saw it, thinking there was some good tunes in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like Cage or something. I don't know if it was definitely all Def Jux stuff, and it was about skaters in Mexico and that are presumably in the same universe. And like, I think if you do think about skaters and like that's why I reckon they know their hip hop. You know, because the sort of things like flipping the conversation with the what should we call it, the British guy in Spring, and like because they're kind of doing it like a skate video, and normally like in skate videos it'd be a lot of punk, and like you'd get a couple of hip hop tracks, wouldn't you?
Yeah, mostly punk and hip hop. That's pretty much.
Yeah. So the fact that they're gravitating towards the hip hop things, like, and like that, like they know Cage, I reckon they know their bars.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. That's well, that's that. Like I said, that's one of the things I like about their films, is they draw in all these different like references to different stuff, and they put them in a way that's like natural to the thing. It's not like, I don't know, some films where there's like just too many references to other things or whatever. It just seems kind of cluttered or whatever. I can't think of. Glass Onion I saw recently. That's got just loads of lines where there's just like references to external things or things on the internet or celebrities or whatever, and they're just like, there's just too many of them and they don't fit naturally, and it's just kind of seems cluttered and stuff. But then
I know what you mean. It's kind of like it's not put together in an organic way.
Yeah, they'll reference stuff in a way that fits really well with the story, or like adds an interesting detail, or gives you a little bit of background, or some little nugget of something in there. So it's always kind of, I don't know.
It doesn't feel to me like they've got what should we call it, an article open while they're writing the script. It
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
to me
exactly,
like
yeah.
they've read up on something and then just sat with it for a bit and gone out and lived their life and like, you know, sort of seen where it occurs in real life. That
Yeah, you can tell they'll just find something and think like, oh, that's interesting, and they'll probably just put it to one side or something, and then sometime later they'll like fit it in somewhere or something like that. It seems like that would kind of make sense of how they do things, but yeah. So synchronic, is kind of, I don't know. I was just trying to think: is Spring the only film that doesn't have the red flowers in it? Because like I couldn't think of a reference to them in Spring. But they're in all the other ones, like in Resolution, the guy smoking them in the caravan,
yeah,
and then the Endless, everyone in the cult smoking the red flowers, and then in Synchronic, the synchronic pills are synthesized from the red flowers, and then
yeah.
he's smoking it in something in the dirt as well. So I think Spring, I don't know, unless I missed it, but there's some, yeah.
I'm gonna have to look for it now. Like, you know, it puts me in mind of
Yeah,
like
same.
the field at the end of Scanner Darkly with like the blue flowers that are like producing this the drug in Scanner Darkly. Like, you know, there's this
Yeah,
amazing organic thing, and like maybe people have found this like sort of naturally occurring like ayahuasca, and like synchronic has like been where someone's like, you know, got the fucking DMT version that you blaze out a crack pipe.
yeah, the super quick version where it,
Yeah.
yeah. So Synchronic is like, I don't know, it's like almost like it's like a friendship drama, I guess, about
Yeah.
two dudes pretty much who are paramedics, and they start getting called to all these weird death scenes where people have died in these kind of bizarre ways and stuff, and they start kind of looking into that, to what's going on with those and stuff.
Yeah, it kind of puts me in mind of like before like the sort of time travel time loop element comes into it. It puts me in mind of like what's it called, Bringing Out the Dead. You know, with Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen that film for a minute, man, but yeah, that's a cool film. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that. Like flipping like because like that. I think that's the only other film I can think of that sort of like deals with the relationship between two paramedics, and that's an
Yeah,
interesting relationship to talk about. Like, 'cause
yeah.
you see
They're
some
always in
shit.
they're always in intense situations. It's high pressure, that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that is a constant thing throughout the film as well that kind of pushes it along, is they're getting called to these different cases and stuff. It reminded me of like the X-Files, actually, like the beginning of this one, where you've got where they're going to the different death scenes, and they've got like there's like the guy with the sword,
Yeah.
and then there's like the burnt chick with the door handle and the different. It kind of reminded me of like the X-Files, where they're like going in and looking at some weird unexplained deaths or that kind of thing. And I would guess that they're into Chris Carter stuff, like the X-Files and stuff, because the X-Files has the same thing of like Chris Carter put in lots of kind of real life science, paranormal, whatever details into all the cases. They're all kind of based on real things, kind of, or like, real unexplained cases,
Well,
or
yeah,
phenomena, or whatever.
or like at least reports or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I feel like they do kind of the same thing with that, but it's like Chris Carter was around in the 90s, so that was more like UFO kind of whatever, and then like
Yeah.
Benson Moorhead are like, I don't know, maybe like the next generation of that or whatever, where it's this more like esoteric
Fucking
stuff,
like
the cosmic horror, those kind of vibes and stuff, like sound
yeah, they're
frequencies, all that type of shit.
yeah, in the same way that what should we call it? Chris Carter was probably like the generation who grew up on Art Bell and Coast to Coast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And getting his shit from them. Like what should we call it? Like Benson and Moorhead, of the generation where they're getting the shit from the internet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially in like, you can see that in Something in the Dirt. There's a lot of like, I don't know. I feel like they're looking at some of the same weird online esoteric stuff that I've been kind of looking at and stuff, based on like things they put into the the script, just the kind of real life details, like the podcast stuff and all that kind of. I don't know. It felt very believable to kind of.
Yeah, incredible. Like Something in the Dirt. Like, what a piece of work. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I just want to say as well before we move on, just like synchronic quickly. Like, it's got the ending, like the very end shot with the handshake.
Yeah.
I fucking love that, man. I was watching it, and when that shot came in, I was literally thinking, oh, I'd be so sick if they just end it on that shot and it cuts to the credits, just like for the rhythm of the story and the film and stuff. I was like, if they just end it there, that is so sick. And then they did it, and I was like, yes, fucking nicely done, lads. Fucking well judged. Bit of editing there at the end, very nice. Like,
yeah, man.
So nice. Because it ties up the theme of the film, kind of. It's like, you know, friendship and sacrifice and those kind of themes and stuff. It just like the same with the ending of Spring as well. I don't really want to. I don't want to spoil the end of Spring in case people watch it, I guess, or whatever, because that's kind of the thing that happens at the end is like the big hinge of the story, kind of, in a way. But yeah, but again, like the way,
and it is a great point to finish and all.
Yeah, it's just they end it at the perfect moment. There's the shot of the two of them, and then credits, and it's like, yeah, again, like,
and that's the best way to keep the mystery going. Like, they don't have the epilogue that explains everything, because you don't get that in real life.
Yeah, fully, man. There's just no wasted time or scenes or dialogue in any of their films, really. Like, you'll notice that they're always moving along. There's stuff happening, but like, there's no scenes that are just there for the sake of it. Or if there's a scene where something has to happen, there'll be like an extra cool detail going on. Like, I don't know, like there's a scene in Spring where they're sat outside at the coffee shop, and he's like writing a letter on the napkin. And while he's writing it, like, this little girl comes up and like pulls her face at the chick, and she like pulls her face back, and they both laugh, and she walks off. And it's just like a little tiny cute detail that doesn't need to be there, but it's just like, it's just really cool and just makes it like really realistic and stuff. And and I don't know, they just kind of show you exactly what you need to see for each part to get an idea of what's going on, and they don't drag it out or like.
Yeah, they don't. They don't hold your hand. They.
Yeah. They'll show you stuff and they'll move on, and like, yeah.
They allow you to have that wonder and imagination.
Yeah, like in the end, there's a lot of sort of mysterious shots and stuff that kind of are symbolic of stuff. There's like you see the clock kind of going round, and then after that it shows like a record player which is like stuck in a groove, and it's just going round, and then it cuts to something else. It's just only there for like a second or whatever. It doesn't really explain why, but it's just a little bit of like a visual metaphor that you can like hook into and be like, okay, yeah, the time loops are kind of like people being stuck in a record groove going around, and that's kind of like, yeah. And like I guess the pulling the tug of war thing is like a visual metaphor for them being like pulled into the cult, and that kind of builds up that kind of idea. So they have, I don't know, man. I rate the way they have all the different little layers of stuff going on all at the same time. They're so sick, like.
Aye, and like Something in the Dirt, their COVID movie.
Yeah.
Like
again, just the two of them, two main characters, like in the endless, which is cool. And again, like really interesting, both just really interesting, watchable, intriguing kind of characters.
Yeah, and they managed to make a COVID movie that doesn't feel like a COVID movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it's set just like I was at the Fright Fest premiere.
Oh, nice.
And like I mentioned this, I've mentioned this a couple of times on the pod because it's amazing. Like one of the two of the questions that were asked, and the answers just blew me away both times. I found out about them either, because I will say Something in the Dirt is like the #1 cigarette smoking movie of all time. Like, so many cigarette smokes.
Yeah, for sure.
Like every single like nicotine addict in the place. Obviously, I'm rocking vape at the minute.
Yeah,
but like we were flipping, like we were all outside the flipping Leicester Square Cineworld, flipping what should we call it afterwards, going, I love that film and I wanted to stay for the Q&A, but I had to have a smoke.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's kind of cool to see though, because like I don't know, you don't really see smoking in films much now because it's like frowned on or whatever. So it's like there's this. You only see cigarettes in films up to a certain time period. So it's like 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. It kind of starts to disappear, and then any films from like the 2010s, like
it was the writer of Basic Instinct, Joe Esteraz, or however you pronounce his name.
Like fucking shouts to Paul Verhoeven.
Like he had like throat cancer. And like he spent years like doing loads of sexy smoking films, and he goes like, I like Basic Instincts. He goes like, I wish I didn't do that.
Thrillers where everyone's just smoking in apartments and having sex, and that's most of the film. Like,
yeah. So what's it called? He was part of the big campaign, which is why like a lot of studios like won't have like smoking in films now. Like,
oh, okay, right. Interesting.
Yeah. So it was him, like, he was like fucking like not only do I regret smoking, I really regret fucking glamorizing it the way I did in my films. And now I see everyone else doing it. It's like, fucking don't end up like me. And it was that kind of thing.
They totally did that though in that time period though. I've been on a bit of a thing of watching like 80s, 90s kind of erotic thrillers and stuff like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle and like Basic Instinct and all those ones. Like, and yeah, it's just like, it's just loads of chicks standing around looking cool in cool dresses, smoking. Yeah. It's like half the film, like in like cool 90s apartments. I'm just like, oh man, lush. Like, can I go and live in this film, please? Very cool.
Yeah, watching films is just why I flip in what should we call it, after vape, because the era of films I watch, there's so much smoking, flipping like I can't successfully quit. I've just got to go on the flipping the crutch here.
Yeah, man. I got really into like 90s crime dramas a bit ago as well, and I was watching a ton of those, and they're all just everybody smoking, every police interview, the cops are smoking, the criminals are smoking, just constantly everywhere at all times. Like, it's really noticeable because you don't see it. Like I say, you don't see it around as much now. It's just like, oh man, they're smoking again, and like someone walks into the room and like lights a cigarette. And it's just like, it's almost like a parody of like that kind of thing.
Well, the fact they've been so removed from movies when they still do exist in real life means that like it's a bit in the dirt, which is about like this guy moves into a flat. There's a guy in the flat above him.
Yeah.
And they sort of bond, become mates. And then some weird shit starts happening and they want to make a documentary about it.
Yeah. And, that's pretty much it. Yeah. That's the setup, which is a very cool setup, if you ask me. Very interesting.
Yeah. And it does show bonding over sharing cigarettes like really early on, which is a very real part of the human experience.
It is, man. That's like the first conversation they have, isn't it? Like he comes down and they're outside the apartment when he's just moved in, and like he's talking to him and he asks him for a cigarette and stuff. Yeah. And again, that's one of those details that kind of just makes it feel realistic and stuff, because that's what you would do in that situation. Like, you haven't met the person, you're a bit awkward, you want to have a conversation with them, you're just like, oh, have a cigarette, do something to take off the awkwardness a little bit, and then talk to this stranger that I now live next to or whatever.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And one of the questions in the Q&A was like, how did you manage to secure like 2 apartments to filming? And they go, no, they are our apartments. We live above each other. And we fucking hang out on our fire escape and smoke cigarettes and like chat shit.
I really rate that very highly. Like, living next to each other and just caning the work and putting out sick films. Like, it's just like, salute, man. It's cool as fuck.
Yeah, and that
as well, which makes it really cool. Like,
that's where they've been living the whole time. They've been making these things, like, so they are like the mates that see each other together every day and fucking have like all the normal fucking real life conversations you have when you live close to one of your mates all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be one of the reasons why the male friendships and bonding in the films are so realistic and like well observed and stuff. Like between the 2 paramedics in Synchronic or whatever, it's like, it's like that is kind of
flipping. I don't know anyone else who's making genre films that can write two mates relationships like
Yeah,
these guys. I
yeah,
don't know anyone else who does that in genre films.
and
It
it's
probably
also
goes
like
up.
a time travel film, and it's also
Yeah,
like a family drama, and it's also like, yeah, it's cool.
yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
something in the dirt is I don't know. It's hard to say because I really like all of them. I think it might be my favorite just because um it's got the most focused, esoteric, weird stuff in it. Pretty
yeah.
much straight from the start, we're into the weird business. Things are floating around. There's weird crystals. There's weird lights going on. It's fucking like
I'm,
pretty soon into the film after they introduce
I've
the
done my
captain.
fourth watch of it now, and like I wasn't sure if it was the bias of like having seen it on that massive screen first,
Mm.
or it could be my favorite and all. Like I'm
Yeah,
moving that way. Like I thought, like because I saw it in like the like much more prestigious circumstances than I saw
yeah, yeah,
the other ones in. Like I thought, like that might be bias in it, and like
yeah.
it might be recency bias it. But like I've watched it 4 times now. Like I think like it could be my favorite and all. Like
I mean, it's like I said, it's tough to say. I really I really like Spring
mm,
because it's like a really nice, cute, romantic film, and
mm,
also a cool, weird, interesting horror like at the same time and stuff, which is like it's kind of nuts that to cross over those two genres and do it so well, and have it
yeah,
be like actually kind of romantic and sweet while you've got all this like crazy shit going on at the same time. It's
mm,
just like yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's wild stuff. So yeah, yeah, I think like yeah, yeah, it might. Yeah, I mean, I really like. There's things I like about all of them, but I think yeah, something to do is it's the funniest one as well. Definitely, it's got I think the funniest kind of conversation bits in it, and
Yeah,
there's some really good like visual jokes in it as well. There's a bit
yeah,
where like he's he's looking at the room in the apartment. He's got like a heat vision kind of thing,
mm,
and you see skeletons in the background, and they look kind of weird and like blobby and like not very good,
mm,
like almost as if like they've got crap special effects in the film. And then he takes
yeah.
it off, and the gag is that they're actual cardboard skeletons, like stood in the background. They're like actually cardboard skeletons. It's, I don't know, man. It's really funny. Like,
Yeah, like another one in the Q&A things is like someone asked like how much of it was improvised because of
mm,
how naturalistic it is,
yeah, yeah.
and they were like pretty much none of it.
Oh, really?
Like
Yeah,
yeah, like all like because like they're writing together, they know to write how they want to talk in the film, like,
I
and
guess so. Yeah,
they've
yeah,
got that synergy that you can
yeah,
only have like it's, like it's that tightness, like the closest I can think of is like what should we call it, like when people in their 20s that are in a band and like
yeah,
they live in the same student house.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying, man. Yeah, yeah. Or like a rap crew that all lives in the same house, like Blah Records or something like that, and they're just all
Yeah,
fucking on it in that kind of way. Like, yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
love to see it, man. It's cool as fuck. I love to see like people collaborating like that and just making cool shit. Like it's the best. Like
that's it. Like people having that kind of synergy relationship that comes from like having to like sort of like live on top of each other, like and
yeah, yeah. And they all get it. You can tell they both just have a really good grip of like the thing they're doing and the way it looks and feels and the sound and the music and the kind of I don't know like the
yeah,
kind of texture of all of it. It's like it's kind of there through all their films, so you can. And I
mm,
think that's maybe why I like Something to Do it the most is I guess by the fifth film they've kind of refined that thing, like their editing style, the flow, the kind of rhythm of it.
yeah,
Like they've refined
and
it over the other four films, and it's just really like tightly paced and kind of
yeah.
like yeah,
The editing is incredible because that like they managed to make it like mostly filmed in apartments, but through use of like archive footage and so stuff that and like
yeah, yeah,
shots from around LA, they managed to like create such a grand scope that you don't realize it's a COVID film. And it's done with
yeah, yeah,
editing, but there's also like a joke that they've just gone through so many editors. The characters making this
yeah, yeah,
documentary, they're all like, "What, a seventh editor by now?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like
That,
every editor's just like fucking sick of them.
yeah, the documentary layers were kind of good as well. Like you're saying that it's cutting away from them being in the same place, and then I think they did well with like there's a couple of scenes where there's a scene where they're outside on the roof and he's smoking the red flowers and they're having a conversation and stuff, and they put enough of those in to make you to give you an impression of like that it's LA and the surrounding area, and you can kind of get a feel of like what it is, and it doesn't feel like they're literally just kind of in the one room. So it doesn't, like you were saying, it doesn't really feel like a COVID movie because there's like the planes going over, and you get like the idea that there's other stuff going on around them, kind of thing.
Yeah, it does feel like an LA movie, like like
yeah, for sure, man. It reminded me a little
details
bit
like the coyote and that, and
yeah, for sure. Have you seen Under the Silver Lake?
no, I haven't.
Oh man, right, you need to see that. It's incredible. It's like an A24 film. It's really slept on. It's like a modern day film noir kind of set in LA, but it's got all kinds of esoteric, conspiracy, occult, weird stuff going on with it. Just check it out, man. It's really good. But yeah, again, it reminded me a little bit of that. It's got like that LA, because LA has this kind of weirdness about it, like Hollywood, and it's got like this weird underside, and there's kind of history of like occult stuff tied to Hollywood and kind of LA kind of weirdness and stuff. So I felt like they tapped into that a little bit with it, which was cool.
Flipping like what should we call it? Like the fact is they're living in these like kind of knackered looking flats in the same city as Hollywood, and the same city that fucking like Anton LaVey was doing shit in, and
yeah, for sure, man. Yeah,
and there was like links between them because look at the Devil's Reign.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you've got like Scientology is very big in LA, and like I mean, there's all kinds of undercurrents of weird kind of dark shit going on.
Yeah, so
for sure. There's a really good joke as well where they it's actually kind of a double joke, because like in the film they show, it's the bit where they're talking about they get someone to do the special effects, and they're like talking about whether they should like jazz it up for the thing to make it look more interesting. There's a scene where there's like the big hole in the wall with the fire coming through, and they're going, ah! And like that's in the trailer, and in the trailer it kind of makes it look like that's what the film's going to be like. It's going to be like this mad like action film, and then there's all
they've definitely realized that like people don't know how to market their films, and that's why you get a copy of Spring that makes it look like a straight up slasher film.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, their films are, they must be quite hard to kind of market and explain to people, because they're like, because they're such weird, interesting stories that you can't really explain a lot about without seeing them. Like you can't really tell someone everything that happens in the Endless before they see it. Otherwise, there's no point, kind of thing.
Yeah, but
they're
the
also
managed to be very successful.
Yeah.
But by sticking to their guns, and like they have got a cult following, and we're both in it, and we're both dependent on it, and
like really, like it's cool. I think like
we've been we've been through the whole thing, and I suppose in the spirit of a time loop, I'm going to finish by saying like what I said at the start, and the boys are 5 for 5 and a bit if you count VHS viral.
They're making the coolest, most interesting shit at the moment, and it's I'm fucking well absorbed in it. Yeah. Can't wait for the next one, man. Can't wait for the next 2, 3, whatever they do, man. I'm in.
Definitely, fully on board.
People should go check out all these movies. All 5 of them. They're all absolute bangers. Like really, really good.
Most certainly. Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there. So, Sto, as per usual, I will ask you what do you want people to get eyes on?
I don't really have anything new out at the moment. I'm working on a book which is coming out later this year, on a little publisher in America called Miskatonic Virtual University Press, which is linked to
Lovecraft,
to some of this like weird occult time stuff and a bit of HP Lovecraft stuff and whatever. So yeah, I mean, I'm still working on that. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be out, but that'll be out later in the year. So I'll be banging on about that a lot. And I'm working on a second album as well, but for now, nothing to promote really. But yeah, there'll be lots of new stuff coming out soon, and I'll be everywhere shouting about it and being annoying and throwing it in everyone's faces and shit.
Therefore,
so like,
I will. What should we call it? Like, I'll definitely like. Definitely have you back on at the end of the year for the conclusion of the Cyberpunk ranking that's going to cover my whole year. But I'll definitely have you on a couple of times before that, because it's always a banger whenever you're on.
Yeah, anytime, man. Yeah. As always, like, thanks for having me on. It was a fun conversation. We'll do another one about something else in the future.
Certainly will. Okay, this has been the KSC. Big up everyone. YouTube shit, like, subscribe, bloody, all that fucking shit. Peace.